Jacob loved Rachel, not so much Leah. How do we understand this? We're talking about righteous, holy people. And in fact, Leah is not only referred to as not loved, but the language is used, sinua Leah. She's hated. I mean, we're talking about Jacob, righteous, holy people, the patriarchs of our people. What are they trying to teach us? And then he married her. So he was married to someone that he hated. And why would he hate anybody? These are righteous. A tzaddik is not a hater. Last time I checked, hate isn't a kosher thing for anyone who's a decent human being, let alone a tzaddik, unless the person that you're hating is absolutely evil. That's not Leah. She's a righteous woman. She's the matriarch. She's a mother of 6 out of the 12 tribes. How do we understand this whole section? And he loved Rachel because she's beautiful, Leah not so much. So he's going for external beauty. Is that the level person that we're talking about? The father of the Jewish nation? And even if it's true, why talk about it in the Torah? The Torah is only sharing details that we need to know. Torah doesn't tell us information that's useless, and it's only sharing things that are important, that are eternal lessons for our people. Is that an eternal lesson? So for this we need Chassidus and Kabbalah. And it's explained that the matriarchs and patriarchs, these righteous, holy people, you see, they live very much in line with their soul's mission and purpose and the makeup of their soul. Leah and Rachel represent 2 types of souls. Rachel represents the soul of the righteous, the perfect tzaddik, the one who has no struggle. Leah represents the soul of those who struggle. And they fall spiritually and morally, and they pick themselves back up. I'm not going to say that Leah is in that category herself. She was clearly a perfectly righteous person. But nevertheless, her soul's journey, her soul's strength is not so much in begetting children and offspring and inspiration for a smooth sailing ride where there's no challenge, but rather she has that inner strength to overcome negativity. And that's why Rachel is physically beautiful on the outside. Leah, not so much, and the language is because her eyes were red from crying, because she represents the soul of the Baal Tshuva. So if Rachel empowers the Jewish people to be beautiful, she empowers those higher level souls to live the life where there's no struggle, there's no need to cry, there's no regrets. Everything is just wonderful. Leah inspires those of us, the vast majority, who need to cry, who need to have regrets, who overcome, who battle with themselves often, sometimes every day, to make the right choices. So these are 2 different souls. Jacob is being introduced to the future mothers of his people. He loves Rachel. Translation, he would love to have a people that's just righteous. I mean, how great would that be? There would never be exile or struggle because they're living the perfect life. There would never be sin. There would never be a need to overcompensate for negativity. There would never be a Yetzer Hara. I mean, forget about it. A Jewish nation that's all Rachel's, that's all righteous, that's all like Jacob himself. That's a people. He loves it. She's gorgeous physically because she's gorgeous spiritually, because she represents that tzaddik path of perfection and inner beauty. He sees Leah. He sees a mighty soul, a soul that has the ability to take the lowest of the low and turn them around. She cries with the sinner. She cries with the Baal Tshuva. She gives them the strength to overcome. It's like a different type of coach. Rachel might represent the coach who helps you go from good to great. Leah might represent the coach who helps you go from bad to good. Jacob says, I really admire this type of soul, this strength of a Leah to empower people to turn things around, but I don't want any part of it. I don't want a nation that's Leah-like, that needs that Leah message. That would be a big struggle. Every day they have to fight with themselves to be positive, to overcome negativity and anxiety, to overcome impulses that aren't kosher or moral. Why would I want such a people? He runs away from Leah. He hates it. So this is nothing personal, friends. But these are biblical figures They understand the impact of their choices is generational. It's forever. Leah? Rachel? Absolutely. Friends, you'll notice that this will also explain something very, very interesting. You know, it is said that when Jacob met Esau, he hid Dinah in a box. That's why when they met in next week's portion, Dinah is not mentioned. Says Rashi, where was Dinah? He hid her in a box. Why? Because he was afraid that Esau, who's a bad guy, would take a look at her and want her, and that wouldn't be a good path to go down. So he put her in a box. Says Rashi from the Talmud that Jacob was punished for hiding Dinah in a box. Why? How was he punished? Because Dinah was later taken and she was kidnapped and raped, etc. That was a punishment, and that's quite a severe punishment. Why did he get that punishment? Because he hid her in a box so Esau shouldn't see her. Because had Esau seen her, and obviously would be attracted to her, she would turn Esau around, which would be fantastic. But notice in that same section, Rachel was hidden in view from Esau. In that same section, the Torah says that Joseph stood in front of his mother, as pointed out by the Rashi, because Rachel was very beautiful, and he didn't want Esau to take a look at her. That would be a terrible thing. So he hid Rachel from view. Now you might say, well, Rachel was a married woman. Still in all, Joseph not only wasn't punished for hiding Rachel from the view of Esau, he was actually rewarded that he got the power that no evil eye will ever touch him. Why the difference? Dinah, Leah's daughter, she's punished. We're punished over hiding her from the eye of the sinner. Rachel, we are rewarded for hiding her from the eye of the sinner. And the answer is the aforementioned. Dinah comes from the Leah branch. The Torah uses the same term, Vayeitzei Dinah. Dinah went out. As elsewhere, Vayeitzei Leah. Leah went out. They were yotzanit, as Rashi says. They were outgoing. It doesn't just mean they were social people. I'm sure Rachel, too, was social. They had the power to go out and transform negativity to positive. And that's why Leah went out, and that's why Dinah went out. And therefore, putting Dinah in a box is not a good idea. She would have conquered Esau's heart and turned him around. Maybe Mashiach would have come much sooner. Rachel? She's a mighty soul too, but that's not what she does. That's not her expertise. It's not her soul makeup and her mission. She's beautiful in a righteous way. She wants no part of Esau. He doesn't even deserve to look at her. So friends, which one is greater? We have these two models. Rachel and Leah, the righteous souls, and the Baal Tshuva souls. So, obviously, we need both. Proof is we have both in our nation. But just like Rachel only begot 2 children and Leah begot 6, which Kabbalistically represents the 6 primary emotions. And Rachel is only 2, which represents the higher levels of the soul, Chachma and Bina, what have you. Most Jews are Leah people. Most Jews are struggling. Don't tell anybody, but if you're struggling, you got good company. We know there's righteous people, there's the Rabbi in every generation, there's a few tzaddiks perhaps, very few and far between. Those are the Rachel people. Just like Rachel had only 2 kids, they're very small amount in number. But Leah, the kids were popping out one after the other. And Rachel's wondering, am I no good? Leah's got kids, Rachel not so much. Yeah, but don't you understand? You're producing different type of kids. You're making perfect tzaddiks. They don't go retail. There's not a lot of them. But the further message of it is that we need more average people than righteous. We need in every generation righteous people. They hold us up. They inspire us. They're really the center focal point of our soul. We just said that the Rebbe in every generation is like the Yechida, the essential soul that connects all the Jews to one another and to Hashem and all that good stuff. Without tzaddiks, we're out of business. But apparently the plan is that 99.999% of us are going to be Leah people. The purpose apparently is even greater by overcoming darkness and turning it to light. That's an even greater accomplishment and a greater mission, and the vast majority of us have to do that. Yes, with the overcoming of the struggle, with the assistance of the Rachels amongst us, so the few and far between Rebbes and Tzaddiks who help us move forward. So the Jewish people have both. We're a makeup of Rachel and Leah. Far fewer Rachels than Leahs, but we complement each other. We certainly need the tzaddik. They're beautiful, they're gorgeous, they're wonderful. A person without struggle, without sin, without negativity, without selfishness and ego. It's just gorgeous to behold. But there's another side to it. We need to know that they also need us. In a sense, we help them fulfill the mission. Because in the end, the mission is to bring God to the lowest place, to the place of struggle and darkness. And guess what? We know about that place better because that's where we live. And you might say each of us has this within our own selves. We have our inner Rachel, our inner tzaddik. That's our yechida, the essence of our soul. There's a place where we have no struggle. We're perfect. And then there's the Leah, the rest of us. Let's not be down on ourselves for being normal people, for having struggles, for having bad days, even if it happens most days. Let's not be down on ourselves for being pulled in negative directions from time to time. It's our purpose. That's our goal. We're not afraid of the Esau of life. We have the ability to overcome it. At the same time, let's recognize that it's in the power of the tzaddik. It's in the power of our soul. We're not alone in the end. We're not just battling door-to-door combat with every temptation and every self-destructive behavior and every addictive thing that comes our way. We're not on our own. Yes, on some level we are. On some level, these temptations and negativities and jealousy and anger and what have you are realities to us, and they're real to us. But don't be too frightened, because there's a place in you and in me, namely the yechida, the neshama, the part of us that's part of Hashem, that has zero struggle. It's gorgeous like Rachel. So in a sense, Jacob did get his way. He married Leah to have the most of us, to create that struggle, which is the purpose of Dirah B'Tachtonim, bringing Hashem to the lowest place. But he also married Rachel, and thereby embedded in each of us a Rachel, something beautiful and perfect, and that carries the day and helps us overcome the day-to-day struggle and the journey.